Hi, everybody. I am Devin, program coordinator here at CDN, and myself and another chapter leader, or a chapter leader rather, are here today to sort of give you a chapter 101, how to start a chapter. If you are interested in starting one on campus and you don't really know how to go about doing that, we're sort of here to help you and get you a little bit of an introduction. So I sort of oversee the chapter network here at CDN, so that means I get in contact with all of the chapter leaders, so potentially you, and all that kind of stuff. So I try not to flood everybody's inboxes with emails, but yeah, I'm always here as a contact to answer like any questions you might have if you're worried about starting a chapter or anything like that. I was a chapter leader when I was in college, so I know like a little bit about it, but it's been a minute. But then, yeah, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, I'm Izzy Meehan. I go to Ohio State University and I'm going to be a sophomore this year in the nursing program, and I'm the president of the CDN there.
All right, so we just have like a pretty quick slideshow for you guys today. And if you have any questions, you can just email me at devin@collegediabetesnetwork.org or chapters@collegediabetesnetwork.org. I check both of them. But yeah, so we're going to go get this started. Stop my video really quickly. And yeah, so the first question is, so what are the first steps to starting a chapter? And that is just going to be filling out a start a chapter form. So that's pretty easy. It's just on the collegediabetesnetwork.org. So just go in there and search for that. And then I will set up a phone call for you. Izzy, as you might be able to attest to, it's pretty quick. But yeah, so those are your like sort of bare minimum first steps. And then yeah, anything from your side?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just like Googled like how to start a CDN chapter, and I like the first link. It just took me to a form, and it was super easy to fill out. And then you got in contact with me and kind of guided me through the process. And then we had that quick phone call, and like it was really easy to do. So like don't let that intimidate you. Make sure that you go on your you check your campus website and make sure that there's not already an authorized club. I was really surprised that such a large university like Ohio State didn't have one going into my freshman year, and I really wanted one. So that's why I Googled it. And I also reached out to people on social media from my hometown who also had type 1 diabetes and were going to Ohio State or were already there. And I asked them if they were interested in joining the group. And once I got a few people who said yes, they would be interested, I decided to keep going on trying to start the chapter.
Yeah, awesome. So once you get on a call with me about starting the chapter, you sort of think about how to like market your chapter and get people sort of interested. So obviously things look a little bit different this semester, potentially this year. But a lot of the things that I recommend to our chapter leaders still sort of stand. So I always recommend social media as a good place to start. And just Instagram is pretty popular, Facebook groups as well for the college, and that sort of thing. When you are, on campus, if you are on campus this semester, flyering always works pretty well, but I know that might be tricky for different universities depending on what their rules are for the semester. And then one thing that's really good is to contact your disability services office or the equivalent, and or your health services office or health center. They are really good resources. You can just let them know that you're starting a chapter, and they should be able to relay that information on to students who have diabetes or like express interest in that. And so that's a pretty good place. Once you start a call with me, we do have a template letter that you can just turn into a pretty quick email if you want, and just send that right on over to them. So I definitely recommend doing that. A lot of our chapter leaders tend to find a lot of members that way.
Yeah, we did that this past year. We made flyers in the disabilities office and hung them up around campus and in the disabilities office because there's a lot of type 1 diabetics who use the disability services. So we got a few people doing that. I also just made a flyer and emailed it to the disabilities office, and they're going to include that in their weekly newsletter. And I added a page about our officers, which includes our ages, interests, some activities we're involved in at OSU, and then our contact information if anyone wants to reach out to someone specifically, if they have something in common or just have a question for them. Um, and then we also do have an Instagram, and that's been really great for marketing too. We just post some of the activities we do to get people interested. And a girl from Ohio University who's in the CDN there actually reached out to us on Instagram, on our Instagram account, and she came to OSU and talked about a trip she took to the Dominican Republic over the summer where she helped other diabetics who didn't have the education or supplies to take care of their diabetes. So that was a really informative meeting, and we wouldn't have gotten that if we didn't have an Instagram account. Another great thing that helped us throughout the year is getting in contact with our local JDRF. The first semester, we participated in the JDRF One Walk in Columbus as a CDN team, and we raised over $1,000 for the JDRF. And we made CDN shirts for people to walk in during the walk, and then people would continue to wear those around campus for more marketing. And it was just really helpful reaching out to the JDRF because they were able to connect us with local doctors, nurses, and pump reps. And they also let us join like fun activities they hosted for free, like bowling. We also got to go to a local Iron Chef competition on National Diabetes Day, which was really fun and kept a lot of the people in the group engaged. And they also included us in their newsletter. So if other diabetics who are at OSU or are thinking about going to OSU can reach out to us and join the group. And then another helpful thing is just like having a group me where everyone can use the group me we have like is almost used every day. We're all there to support each other and help each other if someone's in a bind. And I make sure I add all the members in the chat so anyone can reach out if they have a question or need help.
Yeah, that is all awesome advice. So the next step we're going to go to is registering as a student organization. So this is not something that you have to do when you start a chapter. Plenty of our chapters decide not to register as a student organization. Sometimes the process is a little long. Sometimes there are a lot of steps to it. Sometimes they just feel like they don't need to. We always recommend it just because a lot of times that's how you will be able to book rooms. You can sometimes get a little extra money from the school, that sort of thing. So we recommend that. But we always welcome advice.
Yeah, I would definitely say register for as a student org on your campus. We did, and it didn't take too long. I had to complete a constitution, but it was also helpful because you provided me like I was able to make an account, like use part of the CDN's constitution, so that wasn't too hard to do. And then I had to find a vice president, treasurer, and an advisor, and then attend a couple meetings at the Ohio State Union for people who are trying to start organizations. But a local endocrinologist reached out to me and gave me the name of a teacher at OSU who also had type 1 diabetes. And she told me that he was interested in being our advisor. So I reached out to him, and he's been a great help. And he was able to secure funds at one point to treat everyone in the network to like a get to know each other dinner, which was really fun. But yeah, I definitely think it's a good idea to register as a student org because it's easier for students to find your organization and get more members. I've already had a couple people this summer reach out to me saying that they saw like the contact information on Ohio State's website. And because I don't know how else they would find our organization if we weren't registered as a student org there. And you can also apply for grants in order to like fund team building activities or have other educational meetings. And then another benefit being a registered student organization is that I was able to reserve rooms for meetings in dorms and other places on campus this year.
Yeah, so overall, I feel like that's pretty helpful for a lot of people. We're going to jump to our next little slide here. So affiliating with a CDN. So this a lot of times will sound a little bit more complicated than it actually is. So I'll try and break it down a little bit. So affiliating means that you just sort of get a little bit of extra perks, a little bit of extra things. You are, even if you are not affiliated when you start your chapter, you are still a CDN chapter. We are still here to support you. You still have, you can still have meetings and host events and that sort of thing. So affiliating just provides you with a little few extra things. So we provide grants for our chapters, outreach kits, which are great for tabling when that is, whenever that comes back. So that'll have like a table runner and phone wallets and things like that. They're also good for prizes. And a listing on the chapter map on our website. So when someone goes on the College Diabetes Network website to search, your chapter will be listed there. And there's no real time frame to affiliate with us. If you feel like you're ready in 2 or 3 weeks and you've had a meeting and have a few people on your executive board, that's totally fine. If it takes you a few months and you don't think you're ready, that's totally fine too. But again, that's just something you just let me know in an email. And yeah, there's no time frame, there's no real pressure on it. But there's also just some information that as an affiliated chapter you provide us with. So events you've done, if there's any sort of like changes going on in the chapter. And obviously we love to see any like fun things you guys do, but obviously you can do that without being affiliated.
Yeah, I know like the CDN swag, like the drawstrings and like the bracelets and pens helps raise awareness around the campus for us. And it was like a really good way for us to get the word out around campus that there's a club that supports other people with diabetes, and we were able to recruit more members that way. And the CDN also provided us with like helpful packets about transitioning to college. And there was a lot of things we learned from that. And I was really surprised that a lot of the upperclassmen who are over 21 didn't know that glucagon isn't effective if they've consumed alcohol, and just like a lot of helpful things like that. They also provided us packets like we could give to our parents to like help them and reassure them with our time in college. And I was also able to obtain flyers that we hung around campus for marketing, and we did apply for a $500 grant from the CDN, and we were planning on having a mental health retreat at Hawking Hills Park, but unfortunately it was canceled because we were sent home. But we did get that grant, and we were really excited to do that activity, but hopefully maybe in the spring this year we can apply to do something like that again. But yeah, and then another benefit with affiliating with the CDN is that you can get in contact with other people and other CDNs and see kind of how they do things too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and then on to our next and last one. So the technicality. So this is a little bit on my end, but you can speak to anything that you may have noticed or anything like that, Izzy. But yeah, so the technicalities of starting a chapter, kind of like the bare bones and stuff. Again, I usually go over a lot of this on the call, but it's always nice to just sort of lay it out there. So just generally keeping an eye on your inbox is a good idea and helpful for both ends, because I will send you updates about like important sort of chapter related things, as well as some opportunities. We do partner with, JDRF, ADA, and a bunch of different other organizations who will send fun opportunities my way, and then I sort of distribute that to all of our chapters. And so just keep an eye out for stuff like that. And there are, if you're an affiliated chapter, we went over it just a little bit, but I'm going to dive back into that for a second. There are just a few more things you kind of have to fill out and keep an eye on. So every year we send out an update form, and I mentioned that a little earlier. That's just all the kind of stuff you've done over the past year. And you also get a $100 stipend for that. We try and keep the update forms as short as possible because we know everybody is kind of limited on time. So we do try and keep those pretty short. And then there are just sort of any, sort of CDN sort of rules. So like logos and that sort of thing. We have, like, for example, for the logos, we have just ones you can feel free to use. But then you can also alter your own, make your own, and you can just send that to me. And it'll most of the time probably be a thumbs up. Sometimes you might need to tweak it depending on what it is. So those are just sort of a little bit of the nitty gritty things. And if you have questions about that, because sometimes it can get a little confusing once you get down to sort of the bare bones of it. But if you have any questions about like the technicalities or just like in general, you can feel free to email me and I'll go over my contact info just at the end of this, which should be right after this slide. But yeah, back to you.
Yeah, so I mean, just something I want to add like about like officers. So at the beginning of the year, we had a president, vice president, and treasurer. But I found that I really needed someone to help with like the social part. So we enacted a social chair this year, and she's going to be helping us plan more fun get-togethers outside of like serious diabetes discussions. Because one of my biggest challenges this year was keeping people involved and engaged in the group. So I'm hoping by like coming up with more fun activities for people that'll like encourage them to join instead of just like being in the group me and asking questions. And then the treasurer and I created a bank account for the organization, and the two of us have credit cards if we need to get something for the club, so that's also helpful. And then our vice president runs our Instagram account and posts about the activities we do. And then we all try to meet about like once a month just to check on progress and updates within the group. And then we try to put something on the books for the future as well, which is really helpful. And lately we've been doing like Zoom meetings with that too.
Yeah, so that has been super helpful. That was a lot of great advice. So thank you, Izzy, for jumping on with me and sort of sharing everything to our potential chapter leaders. So as I said, this is sort of our last slide, but feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Even if you're not ready to start a chapter or you just want to know what it's like, maybe you're jumping into your freshman year of college and you just want to know how to get involved or anything like that, chapters at collegediabetesnetwork.org is a great way to reach me there for any questions. Like I said, you can also find our start a chapter form on our website as well. So just search start a chapter and you will find it right there. Like I said, we also have our chapter map. So if there's one that already exists, you can jump into that. Maybe you'll become on the executive board, become a co-leader, things like that. Yeah, that is all that I have for you. Did you have any sort of parting words of wisdom from a chapter leader perspective?
I'd say just like, don't be afraid to like reach out to people. Like one of the biggest ways that we recruited people on campus, like if we saw them like wearing an insulin pump or CGM, we literally would just go up to them and be like, have you heard about this group? And then like we'd ask for their phone number and then we'd add them to the group me. And like our group me is like, that's probably like people engage in that group me so much all the time. And it's just so helpful. Like there's been so many times where someone's like, oh shoot, like I don't have enough insulin, can I have somewhere, like I need some test strips. Like it's just been like such a great way to support each other and ask each other questions, because we're all going through the same thing and we all experience similar things with this disease and being in college, and it's very difficult, but having each other makes it 10 times more helpful.
Yes, that is very well said. And I think a really great note to leave this video on. So there will be a little bit more of these that are a little bit more specific once you decide to become a chapter leader, if you do, or even if you're just a member. So we will have more of these. This is just the first one. So just an intro for that.